Get ready to explore the land of Yharnam and begin the hunt of the long night as you get torn apart, ripped to shreds, absolutely demolished, and die. Original joke. Check. Greetings everyone, Pat Curley here from the Republic of Players. Today we will be delving into the nightmarish world of Bloodborne, so let's strap ourselves in and see if the game is worth buying. Bloodborne has a rather mysterious plot overall, leaving it up to the player to have their own impression of what happened within the game. You start off with a very little knowledge of what is going on, only that you've signed a contract and that you really shouldn't think too much into it before diving straight into murdering beasts. You explore the incredible Victorian era city of Yharnam, where blood is used as a treatment to cure illness. However, this has caused the local inhabitants to go pure mad and turn into beasts. So it's up to you to bring an end to this scourge of beasts and bring an end to the long night. The story is left to your interpretation, allowing for those who play to take their own experience from the story. In order to get as much lore as possible from the game, you will want to read the description of the items that you hold, as well as the small little tidbits you can discover on your journey throughout. The mystery that is created by this game is quite fascinating and can tickle one's curiosity to know more, as you traverse this world of gothic horror that seems to take inspiration from the cosmic horror of H.P. Lovecraft's work. The game has different endings for you to uncover, giving the game more replay value so that you can find out where each ending leads and what it reveals. Unlike the vague and open interpretation of the story, the gameplay is fundamentally easier to understand and grasp, yet will take time to master. From the get-go, you are thrown into the deep end. This game does not hold your hand as you come to terms with the controls, and this game will punish you until you have a decent to good understanding of how to maneuver and attack. You have your main melee weapon, with all of them having the ability to transform into a secondary form. Taking the saw blade as an example, in its shortened form you can let out quick successive strikes, however when it is elongated, your reach and power are increased, however your strikes become slower. You can hold a secondary weapon, whether it be a gun or torch. There is a shield, but it's kinda like going into a fight with a plastic spoon where the other fella has a bloody chainsaw. Fuck. The combat is fast and vicious. It is a mix between attacking and dodging your foes. Playing defensively is ill-advised as it allows your opponents to dictate the fight and then it becomes an uphill battle from there. It even gives you the incentive to take the fight to whatever you battle, as it is possible to regain health after being hit if you strike your foe. The gun becomes an exceptionally useful tool when you begin to see how enemies can be staggered just before they attack with a timely bullet. Once staggered, you can unleash a visceral attack upon them. It delivers a risk-reward system that can either screw you over if you mess up, or deal out a hefty amount of damage that becomes invaluable in taking out some enemies and bosses. Or you could be like me and be a glutton for punishment and completely forget about the mechanic for most of the game and struggle against every beast with your melee weapon alone. Why am I such a gobsh? The gameplay mechanics to fight, while simple, come together in a beautiful fashion that can bring an intensity that I've never felt with a game before. Taking on giant beasts in order to come out on top is exhilarating and becomes one of the most satisfactory things to achieve. It also helps that the gameplay is immensely addictive and engaging, as that is what this game focuses on the most. Gameplay. You'll be left craving more to overcome the obstacles this game has set before you. From the smaller beasts you take out to the much more horrific and heart-pumping battles with the bosses. Throughout your journey of Bloodborne, you will come across checkpoints in the form of lamps, which are scattered about and also appear in areas where you beat a boss and act as an access point for you to return to the Hunter's Dream, which is a safe haven for you. There are RPG elements implemented into the game through the leveling up system, which is cleverly constructed. For every enemy you defeat in Bloodborne, you gain blood echoes, the game's currency that allows you to obtain a number of things, from the weapons, items, clothing, upgrading, and leveling up. You have a number of stats that you can make stronger, from strength, vitality, skill, and stamina. Each time you level up, the more expensive it becomes for the next level up, and depending on which stats you choose to increase, it will allow you to use certain items and weapons, as they require certain stats to be at a specific level. Now, blood echoes are interesting with the fact that if you die, you lose all the blood echoes you have accumulated. It brings attention to the game that leaves you simply wanting to survive so that you don't lose all your hard work on gathering those echoes. This in turn makes you want to improve, so that you don't have to relinquish your echoes to death often, because it can be infuriating when you realize just how many blood echoes you lost. You then have the Hunter's Workshop, a place where you can tinker with your weapons which have the capability of becoming stronger through the use of blood echoes, as well as items known as bloodstones to increase the power output. When enhancing weapons and arms, you will unlock spaces to equip blood gems. These items are used to improve the ability of a weapon, whether it be something simple like increasing the strength to elevating the effect of fire or bolt damage the weapon can dish out. Blood gems can be swapped around and used to increase your likelihood of coming out victorious in some battles. Your weapon can lose its durability the more you use it, and cause it to be less efficient against bows, so maintaining it and remembering to repair it is beneficial in the long run. You then have Carol Ruins, which are ability boosters for your character to help you tackle the challenge the game will present, and by golly it's a challenge. They can increase the stats of your hunter nicely. You also have Chalice Dungeons, which are new areas to explore that offer up new enemies and bosses to engage in combat, along with a heap of new rewards and items that are a great deal much harder or unattainable to find in the main story of the game. These dungeons bring extra life to the game, especially with the variety of new beasts to engage in combat with. The dungeons can be expansive in size and offer up an insane level of challenge at points, though it mixes it up by having two types of Chalice Dungeons. You have your normal ones that have a preset dungeon for you to search, but you also have root chalices that make the entire dungeon procedurally generated and makes them unfamiliar. It really adds to what you can do in the game and gives you the wonderful opportunity to torture yourself if you feel inclined to do so. The game has online features that allows you to call in aid to help you get through the game. Each time you call in help, you will use up one insight that you have gained across your time playing the game. Other players can leave you notes behind that might give you an idea of what is ahead of you, or you can leave little messages for them. You can see ghosts of other players wandering about, or others that show players just before their death. When calling for assistance, other players can enter your world to do the exact opposite, murder you. Though you can stop them by either slaughtering them or killing the bell ringing woman that spawns in your world if you call for help. Overall, it creates a sense of community that I've never seen quite before. Everyone is simply doing their own thing, and you simply witness snippets of what other players are doing, or what caused them to die, and it can be insightful and have you prepared for what is to come. The fact that it costs insight for you to bring them into your world makes you think twice before you start calling people in, as you might not have much and want to save it for the harder encounters you have ahead. Insight is a strange mechanic in Bloodborne. It can be used for numerous different things, from the aforementioned multiplayer of calling others in for help, to be used as a currency to acquire very specific items, but it also adds to what can become visible in-game, as well as to certain sounds that become detectable depending on just how much insight you have. I see you, you big dangly bollocks. It's a cool idea that goes beyond it simply being used to ask for assistance. Though this sort of make it redundant near the end of the game when you can simply see and hear everything no matter how much insight you have. I think this is a good time to cover the topic of difficulty. Games made by From Software have a tendency for being hard, and people level criticism against him for creating these frustratingly difficult challenges. Bloodborne definitely falls under the category of being hard, though I feel that the game is beyond fair. Sure, there are those moments of absolute rage when you get swarmed and die, or get greedy with a boss because their health is low and you rush in to finish them off only to die. However, if you play clever once you get a good hang of the controls, you really begin to see how masterfully this game's mechanics were designed. I think the big turn off this game would be starting at the very beginning when you have no grasp of how the controls work. As you get used to the controls in the starting area, you will find the game to be relentlessly vicious with how it will hand your ass to you on a silver platter with your head as the cherry on the top. Though, once you overcome the hurdle at the beginning and grow accustomed to the controls, I believe you will find it hard to experience a game quite like this, with its tight yet fast controls that require a great deal more thought to survive compared to most other games on the market. It honestly reminds me of the difficulty that older games presented, and how you would have to get substantially better through repeated failure to finish said game. The game is far from impossible, having progressed through the game on my own, not bragging or anything, with only the help of NPCs the very odd time. The game brings a true feeling of gratification that is honestly like nothing else in gaming I've ever experienced. Now, onto one of the most intense part of the game. The boss fights! Apart from the Witch of Hemwick, that fight is just dull and disappointing. It feels so out of place compared to the rest. But my god, are the other boss fights amazing! Balls to the wall, extraordinary battles that can be agonizingly painful to Holy Mary, Mother of God, I'm an utter badass! There is an insane amount of boss battles that are invigorating to the senses and can be utterly draining, yet fill one with so much sense of accomplishment when one defeats one of the buggers. Each boss is distinct and rememberable, with their own attack patterns for you to learn and exploit. Take that, Amygdala. I found your one weakness: foot stomping. Also, some of the names given to these bosses, such as Mergo's wet nurse, are hard misleading, because let me tell you, there is nothing wet about her. This leads me on to the design of the creatures and beasts that you will find yourself slaying in Yarn. They are frightful and imaginative, capturing the gothic and cosmic horror style that I've never seen before from any other game, and they truly are a sight to behold, bringing forth nightmarish designs that make my imagination look like a fluffy kitten in comparison. The design is beyond special, as it really helps capture the atmosphere this game gives off in spades. It truly is captivating. Its visual effects can be mouth-wateringly pretty, with the blood that covers you and your weapons looking so appealing for lack of better words, and the line that reflects off the bloodstains is beyond impressive to look at. The design flows into everything, from the astoundingly prodigious weapon designs and how they can transform between two forms is insane yet gratifying to watch unfold. This unbelievable art design continues over to the world itself. From the lovingly constructed Victorian architecture this game displays, and it is truly beautiful. The craftsmanship that went into the other areas, from the forest, caves, and the dreamlike realms, are all created in exceptional detail, and the way so many areas connect to each other makes the level design spectacular and the world feel cohesive, well put together, and gives the world a real sense of scale and depth. There is incentive to explore your surroundings as well, to secure entry into secret areas that are not straightforward in finding. And the exploration is a huge part of this game, as you are never given a hint of where things are or what direction to go. You really feel like you're as lost as the character you control, and it creates a unique immersive experience and nothing ever feels like a chore. The design adds to the atmosphere, yet it becomes so much more when combined with the jaw-dropping music and the astounding ambience and sound design. The music is used seldomly, only for the most important parts, and it makes them all the more powerful and impactful. The bombastic orchestra brings forth some incredible tracks from the most epic moments, yet can make some hauntingly beautiful pieces that are well worth a listen outside of the game itself. The one thing I really wish to applaud would be the sound design this game offers. After hooking the game up to my sound system, the experience is enhanced tenfold. It is horrifying and kept me on edge. Even in places that I knew I had cleared out and no enemies were about, I was severely unnerved, still thinking something was going to jump out at some stage. It made me properly paranoid at points, and that's not a joke. It has put all other horror games I've played to shame, and this really brings to life a world that is utterly stunning to behold visually, yet immensely engaging through the ambience created that is truly out of this world, along with an incredible soundtrack. Even the voice acting, for what little there is, was delivered exceptionally well. It creates an unrivaled sense of immersion for what it sets out to achieve. So, to sum up, because this video is probably going on way too long, Bloodborne is unmistakably one of the best games to come out this generation, and possibly one of the best games ever created in my opinion, with a tantalizing story that garners one's attention and creates a world of mystery that can seriously poke one's curiosity, yet is left open for interpretation of the player to decide what it could mean. It could also be a turn-off for some with how vague it is, but leaves a lore that is incredibly strong and a joy to explore. Its heavy focus on gameplay is refreshing compared to what other titles have offered me so far, making me simply want to play the game for its mechanics rather than anything else. It doesn't rely on story like I find so many games doing in this day and age that I lose interest in returning to once I've finished it. The gameplay of Bloodborne is why I jumped straight back into the game immediately after I finished it, and why I'll most likely be playing it for months to come. The world of Yharnam is beyond spectacular and is an intricate world to explore and find the many secrets it hides, and the designs of monsters and bosses are frightfully beautiful and diverse. The game is challenging, but is fair, if at times quite frustrating. The sound effects, voice acting and music are phenomenally produced and bring a sense of atmosphere that I feel is unrivaled. As for faults with the game, the only thing that comes to mind is that the frame rate dropped once or twice, and oh my god, where did my head go? So, if you haven't guessed what my verdict on Bloodborne is, then where the hell have you been? But in all seriousness, go and buy Bloodborne, because this game brings everything together perfectly to create a product of unfathomable excellence. If you're still there, thank you for sitting through this rather lengthy review. Just had so much to say about how good this damn game is, and I could probably still go on for quite a while. If you like this long ass review, why not click that subscribe button and stay in the loop of what comes out. We got a weekly podcast where we talk the weekly gaming news and topics. We got first looks, couch co-ops, reviews and the odd stream. If you want to join the hunt and chatting about everything gaming, be sure to have a little look-see in on our Facebook community where anything gaming is discussed. We're on most social media platforms, which you find links to in the description box below. Well, that's all for today. Farewell, good viewer. May you find your worth in the waking world. 'Cause I know I haven't!